Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our financial aid Where We Are Now and What Next Steps Are Coming. I'm Sarah Lindberg, the Director of First Year Admission at the University of Mary Washington. I am excited to start out with some housekeeping items for you this evening. We are in a regular Zoom room, so you can be seen and you can be heard. And we are recording tonight's presentation. So please, if you would prefer not to have your video on screen, go ahead and turn off your video. And we do ask during the presentation that you do mute yourself so that everyone has an opportunity to hear from Tessa, our Director of Financial Aid. And then if you would like to, during the question and answer portion, unmute, you are welcome to do that. You are also welcome to use the chat feature to place any of your questions into the chat. Myself and our financial aid representative, Stephanie Tercios, will be answering questions in the chat while Tessa is giving the presentation, but we'll also have stopping points to answer questions aloud as well. So again, we are being recorded, so if you could all please mute yourselves to begin. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Tessa, our Director of Financial Aid. Tessa?
Hello, all. I hope you're having a great evening. Again, my name is Tessa Howard, and I'm the Director of Financial Aid. And my colleague Stephanie is here helping, with the chat. We do recommend if you have questions, go ahead and add them to the chat. She may answer them directly, or we may hold them until the question and answer session, just in case we feel like they might benefit the whole group. But I'll go ahead and get started. Tonight, we're going to be talking about financial aid, where we are right now, and your next steps. All right. So hello again from our financial aid office. It's nice to meet you if you weren't on our last chat. Some of the things we do in the financial aid office are assist students in understanding their financial aid, determining financial aid eligibility, verifying the information on your FAFSA, reviewing any special circumstances or unusual circumstances which may occur, award financial aid, send your notifications, and then we continue to monitor the students' eligibility throughout their years at UMW. So where are we now in the financial aid process? The FAFSA and the VASA application are open currently for the 26-27 year. So which application should you choose? There are two different ones. The FAFSA, which is, in financial aid, we love our acronyms. The free application for federal student aid is available for students who are U.S. citizens or eligible non-citizens. Eligible non-citizen status includes individuals that are permanent residents or have refugee or asylum status. There are several other smaller categories. If you feel like you might fall into that one of those, you can always contact our office and talk to us, or there is great resources out on the FAFSA website. Most statuses, like most non-immigrant visas, which would be like an F1 visa or a J1 visa, or temporary protective status on your I-94, do not qualify individuals for financial aid. If you do fall into one of these citizenship categories, please have documentation prepared because it is likely that the financial aid will reach out and ask for copies of any citizenship documentation. So if you can prepare those ahead of time, it just makes the process a little bit easier and quicker. So the VASA application, this just started a few years ago. It is specifically for Virginia residents who are ineligible to file the FAFSA due to immigration status, such as non-immigrants, undocumented students, or if you have a DACA status. You should complete the VASA application. This includes students that have lived in Virginia and gone to a Virginia high school for the most recent 2 years, as well as some other criteria. And while all colleges have different deadlines, at UMW, the priority FAFSA deadline is March 1st. You may certainly file after that date, but that is the date generally when our state funding will become exhausted. So we'll talk in a little bit about state grants. If you are a Virginia resident, If you have submitted your FAFSA by March 1st, you generally will be in that pool of recipients for state grants, but it is a limited fund. So once it is exhausted, it's no longer awarded. So just a little bit of important information and things to know about completing the FAFSA or the VASA. The applications are very, very similar. So for both, a lot of times students may become confused about dependency status. So the status is determined solely by the Department of Education, the federal Department of Education. Basically, a student is considered dependent, meaning they must include their parent information, unless they can answer yes to one of these items on the slide. It is likely, again, if you are saying yes to one of these, you may be asked for documentation. So it's always good to have that prepared in advance. And then you would work with our office. We have some great financial aid advisors that can walk you through those processes. So you can see 24 years or older if the student is married. If you are above the bachelor status, if you're in a master's or a doctorate, any type of military service for the student, not the parent. If the student is a parent and provides more than half of the child's support, they can be considered independent. Or if students were in foster care, a dependent or ward of the court, emancipated minor, or in a legal guardianship after they have been 13 years old, if parents are deceased, or if they are considered a homeless or unaccompanied youth, either through their high school, through another authority, or if not, we'll talk a little bit about unusual circumstances where we have the authority to make them fall into that category. So if you have any of those situations and you have any questions, just contact the financial aid office and we can walk you through your dependency status. Another term that's new to the FAFSA is contributors. So your contributors for a student are either going to be a parent or a spouse, or just yourself. You may not have any contributors, but you'll need to report your parent information if you are a dependent student. And here's some guidelines to think about which parent is considered a contributor. And these are also online. I pulled this right off of the FAFSA website. So this is an example student. So here I will show you. Okay, if your parents are married and file taxes jointly, only one parent is considered to be the contributor. So you would use that tax return, but only one parent has to go into the FAFSA and help fill it out. If your parents are married but didn't file taxes jointly, both of your parents must be contributors and submit their individual tax information. If your parents are not married to each other and live together, both of your parents are contributors. If your parents are divorced or separated, the parent who provided the most financial support during the last 12 months is considered the contributor. Now, hold on one second. If you feel that your parents are divorced or separated and they contribute somewhat equally, the student can choose who to make a contributor. So whether it's parent number one or parent number two, whoever the student chooses as a contributor also has to include their current spouse, if they have any, and any other dependents in their household. There is actually a Who's My FAFSA Parent Wizard out on the FAFSA website. So if you have any questions, that walks through it pretty clearly. We're going to go through just a little more information and then we'll stop for questions before we move on. Okay, another important thing to know about the FAFSA and the VASA, unusual circumstance. So institutions, specifically financial aid administrators, are able to change a student's dependency status in certain situations. This is called an unusual circumstance. For example, if the student comes to us and outlines an abusive situation, if it's unsafe to live at home, if the student feels they have an unusual dependency circumstance, we encourage to contact the financial aid office directly and speak to an advisor. We work with students all the time, and no two situations are the same. So it's really good if you have a student or know of a student that's going to be in a situation like that, have them connect with the financial aid office so we can start that relationship and help support them through their time at UMW. Okay, then the very exciting thing that's happening right now is we are about ready to send our first round of financial aid award letters. Um, it will begin probably within the next week, I'm going to say, or the next 2 weeks. But the award letters will go to any student who has a that has completed a FAFSA and added UMW as a recipient. These letters will include a breakdown of your UMW cost of attendance, your financial aid offer, and some helpful next steps. You'll receive an email or text when your financial aid award is ready to view, and then you'll be able to view it through your admissions portal. If you are a Pell Grant recipient, you will also receive a mailed copy of your financial aid award letter. So I use these words, and like I had said, in financial aid, we use a lot of acronyms. So you'll hear the term cost of attendance or COA thrown around a lot, as well as the term SAI, which is a student aid index. So the term cost of attendance is a federally mandated term that all schools are required to use when talking about college expenses. This is not the amount that you are billed. The cost of attendance serves two purposes. It's a budgeting tool for families. It provides estimated costs that will be billed to you, such as tuition fees, room and board. Also, estimated costs for things that you may need to pay out of pocket, like transportation, personal expenses, and books and supplies. Your cost of attendance is also the maximum amount of financial aid that you can receive in a year. So, your cost of attendance will be different at each school. However, your SAI, Oregon Student Aid Index, will be the same. This is what happens when you file your FAFSA. You are given this SAI. If you have other students that have been in school previously, this used to be called the estimated family contribution. But basically, the SAI is a number in an index that tells financial aid offices how much financial need the student has according to the FAFSA. So what I'd like to get to here is that your SAI will be the same. If you're looking at different colleges, your COA will be different. So let's say at college A, your COA or cost of attendance might be $50,000. That's what they want you to estimate. And your SAI is $10,000, then your net cost would be about $40,000. So just something to think about when you are, I see I did my math wrong on here. So maybe don't look at it. The bottom one should be 50,000. Just something to think about if you're still in that stage where you're comparing institutions. Just because they're offering somebody might be offering a lot of financial aid, it might just be that their cost of attendance is higher. What you really want to look at is the net costs. Okay, so on this financial aid award letter, some of the things that you're going to see will be federal direct loans. So all students that complete the FAFSA are offered federal loans. They can be broken up into a subsidized portion and an unsubsidized portion. The subsidized portion is need-based, so it does not accrue interest while the student is in school. So if you're looking at student loans and maybe only taking a portion of your student loans, it's always best to utilize the subsidized loans first. For the average first-year dependent student, they are eligible for $5,500 total for a year, and up to $3,500 of that can be a subsidized loan. So in that case, they would have $3,500 subsidized, 2,000 unsubsidized. The 3,500 would not accrue any interest until the student graduates or is no longer enrolled. When you are completing the FAFSA, you are automatically considered for direct loans. Should you accept, there's always additional steps to take. So you're not going to just be automatically awarded a loan. If you decide you don't want it, there's an easy process to decline it through our student portal. Or if you do nothing, it will eventually be canceled. The federal Pell Grant. So there are two federal grant programs that we participate in. That would be the Pell Grant and the SEOG grant. Obviously, these are grants, so they do not require repayment. These go to students with the greatest amount of financial need as outlined on their FAFSA. Students are automatically considered if you complete a FAFSA. There's no separate application. And the amount for this year, and I believe it's going to be the same for next year, the maximum amount of Pell Grant a student can receive is $7,395 a year. Merit admission scholarships. So first year transfer and international students are automatically considered for select scholarships based on their GPA, SAT, ACT scores. Scholarships are also available for students that choose not to submit test scores. And you can look on our website, the Office of Admissions website, and there is a merit scholarship webpage, which outlines how much you might be eligible for. If you are eligible for a merit scholarship certificate or a merit scholarship through the admissions process, you'll need to complete the certificate to accept that award. And we will provide instructions for that as well. Virginia state grants. If you are a Virginia resident, you are automatically considered for state grants by completing the FAFSA or VASA application. And the amounts range from $200 a year all the way up to $11,500 a year. So this is a great resource for students that have financial need that live in Virginia. And lastly, UMW scholarships. You may see a variety of other need or merit-based awards on your letter stemming from various sources. What you will not see, and this doesn't really matter until it gets closer to summertime, any outside or private scholarships that we receive will not be included in your financial aid award. They will be counted on the back end, but they won't appear on your award. UMW scholarships. So the majority of our scholarships at UMW are based on funds managed by our UMW Foundation. These are our endowed and non-endowed scholarships. And we have got around 750 to 800 different scholarship programs or scholarship funds. Many of them have multiple recipients. They're based on a variety of criteria, everything from where you are from. There are awards for certain counties, certain states. There are awards for different situations. There's some leadership, some military. We do have a UMW Scholar Manager, one application to be considered for all scholarships. You aren't able to complete the scholarship application until you make your decision, pay your enrollment deposit, and receive your UMW credentials. Once you have that, you can log on. It's open until May 15th. No awarding is done until after May 15th. Timmy. And also for most scholarships, you must have a FAFSA on file. So even if you think you're not going to be eligible for financial aid, even if you're not going to take loans, you should still complete the FAFSA to be considered for the UMW scholarships. All right, we're going to take a short break here for questions. And then I will move on to talk about some other things. Stephanie, do we have any good questions out there right now?
Yes. If you want to talk more about state aid eligibility, we are getting a lot of questions on that.
Okay,
So like
sure.
how to qualify for that.
Okay, so first of all, the way that we award is based on percentage of need. So if you have any financial need at all that is not being covered by merit scholarships, and any other grants, that would be a percentage of that would go towards a state grant. So it will be different for every student. But to make a long story short, essentially it's based on the results of your FAFSA and your financial need. And then that is the amount you would receive. So I will say a lot more students with a little bit of less of a financial need will receive it. So students that receive the Pell Grant have the greatest amount of financial need. That's kind of the first step. When we get to state grants, you could have an SAI of, 17 or 18,000 and still receive a state grant. So it's there to help the neediest population of students, but also that next population of maybe you have too much income to be eligible for a Pell Grant, but not enough income, to be able to straight up pay for college. So I think this year we had about 800 recipients, if that helps. And like I said, it will go up to 11,500, and it will be on your financial aid award if you're eligible.
All right, thank you. And if you want to talk a little bit about the tuition promise, we do have a question on there about how to see if you're eligible for it, even though on our award letters, we don't really necessarily have it blatantly on there.
We will, this is new this year, we will have it on the award letter. So what we're looking at is, again, the percentage of your financial need. If you are a recipient of a Pell Grant, we have a Pell Promise, is what it's called, that the entire cost of your tuition would be covered. So whatever is not covered by the Pell Grant or other aid would be covered by this grant. So again, if you fill out the FAFSA, you're just automatically considered, and it would just be on your financial aid award. There's no additional things you need to do to receive that.
Okay, and then we are getting some about making changes to the FAFSA, and also significant changes with current job loss and things like that.
Of course. And I believe we will be talking about that shortly. So I'm going to leave that one for now till we talk about it. And then if anybody still has questions, we can address them at that point. Anything else pressing right now?
If you don't file the FAFSA, are you eligible for UMW merit scholarships?
Yes.
Okay.
So those ones the scholarships I was talking about that are awarded during the admissions process, those do not require FAFSA.
Okay, thank you.
And the only ones that I would say to do the FAFSA would be if you're going to complete that scholarship application for any of those foundation scholarships, endowed scholarships.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, my name is Sean, and I was wondering, do y'all offer like chess scholarships?
Ooh, chess scholarships. That's a really good question. I would honestly have to go through and look at our foundation awards. If you go onto our website, there is a search tool where you can look at what types of scholarships are out there. I would recommend to you, Sean, though, even if it's not specifically for chess, I would think about those things that go into playing chess and how you can talk about them on an application as far as critical thinking or strategy. Those are the types of things that most of the scholarships are for. So I always tell students, don't be afraid to talk yourself up on your scholarship application, because that's what they're looking for, someone that has those qualities. I would even say, assuming, let's say you're in a chess club, you could, put leadership, or maybe you have trained or worked with other students to play chess. Those are things that would come out of that might not be specifically chess, but you can fold that into other scholarships.
Okay, thank you. Is there a way I could get that link?
Yeah, Stephanie, could you put the link to the scholar up there?
They're
Thank
not
you.
gonna have access right now.
That's okay. Anyone can go out and look at the scholarships. You just
Okay,
can't log
sorry.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't apply yet.
No, but you can search them.
There are a couple of questions about contributors,
Okay.
and who to put on there, specifically like divorced parents,
Okay,
or
sure.
somebody like people who've recently separated, if you want to touch on that.
Sure. Let me go back to that slide. Okay, so this isn't the greatest visual, uh, but I would recommend the wizard out there is called I have it written down, the Who's My FAFSA Parent Wizard. So I would say if you go out to the FAFSA website or even Google that, it will give you some good ideas. But I can go through some of these again. Stephanie, what was the specific situation someone's asking about?
Let me find it.
Excuse me,
Okay.
I got a question. When can we start applying for scholarships?
You wouldn't start applying for those scholarships until you've made your decision, you've paid your deposit to UMW, and you receive it's like your net ID is what we call it, where you can log into all of our systems. But it's open all the way through May 15th. So even if you haven't made your decision yet and you make it in a month or 2 months, it will still be there for you. I would say this is a good time to apply for other scholarships, such as, in your community or um, through your any jobs that you have or maybe your parents might have. That would be that. This is kind of the time where you can do that. All right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So
Okay. Yes, so the
go ahead.
question. So if we file taxes jointly, um, I understand that
But
only
are
one
separated.
parent is a contributor. Does that mean only one income should be reported?
Okay, yes. So in this specific situation, if you file, because the taxes are prior year, so they're from 2 years ago, if you have separated or divorced since filing those taxes, you would go through and only put the parent information on the FAFSA. The contributor would be either the parent that provides the most financial support. And again, if that is equal, you can just choose one, but you only put one parent would be a contributor, and you would need to, and it will walk you through this on the FAFSA, you would need to manually put in your tax information, like split it up and put it in. um the alternative to that, if it gets really complicated, is like we can do that pretty easily on our end. So if you want to just upload your taxes using the tax uploader through the IRS, and then just if you're comfortable just giving us a copy of your 1040 and your W-2s, we can separate everything out for you, because it will be beneficial to the student if only one parent's income is recorded. That's one of those situations I would almost say reach out to the financial aid office.
We have a hand raise. If MS
Sure.
wants to go ahead and ask.
Yeah, that's me. I wanted to know, are federal loan including in the SAI computation?
No. So how it works is you would have um it does not matter what your SAI is. It doesn't matter at all. Everyone is eligible for a student loan. But if you're not showing financial need, if you have a really high SAI, you would only be eligible for the student loan that is going to have interest accruing on it the whole time you're in school. Okay, so let's see. All right, if anyone has any more questions about those topics, just go ahead and keep putting them in the chat, and we will come back and answer questions here after we go over unusual circumstances and special circumstances.
Real quick, Tessa, I just
Sure.
want to make some things clear for folks because there's a lot of
Okay.
questions coming in about the enrollment deposit because we talked about institutional scholarships and endowed scholarships through Scholar Manager. The Enrollment deposit to secure your space in the class of 2030 is not required until May 1st.
Yeah.
So if you are ready to make your decision, you've received your need-based financial aid award letter. At that point, and you are comfortable with everything that it's saying, you can go ahead and submit your enrollment deposit.
Momo,
At this point, with people not having received their need-based financial aid packages, unless you know for sure that you can pay for it without receiving any need-based aid, you can wait to pay your deposit, and you don't have to pay your deposit today.
And also to be clear, I should have stressed the scholarship application doesn't even open until February 1st. So there's nothing to fill out at this point for 26, 27. But we do keep it open through May 15th so that the incoming students have a chance to make that decision, and, as well as the continuing students. So there's an equal opportunity there. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Let's see here. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about where we are now. So, February 1st, that scholarship application will open. March 1st is our priority deadline for the FAFSA and the VASA. May 15th, scholarship app closes. And then once you start getting into May, June, July, more things will start happening. I will say in May, that's the first point where you can sign up for a payment plan. So the way that payment plans work at UMW is the earlier you sign up, the more monthly payments you would make, which will make your monthly payment smaller the earlier you sign up. So even though you might not have your bill in May, you can sign up for a payment plan in May using estimated expenses, and it will break out that payment into 5 payments over the semester. And we will have much more information about the payment plans when you get closer to orientation. But I just like to put that out there that orientation is in June. The first payment plan opens in May. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to contact. It's our Office of Student Accounts. That's the name of the office that does the billing. So May 1st, decision day. I'm going to actually go to the next slide to break this out a little bit more. Let's see. If you are selected for federal verification, paperwork is due June 1st. This will include any tax information. This is basically our office making sure the information on your FAFSA is correct, verifying it. Only about, they say 30% of students are selected. It's a federal selection. We don't select the students. But basically, we will reach out to you. We'll say, can we please have copies of your 1040 and W-2s? We'll make sure everything is correct on your FAFSA. If it's not, we'll make the change and move forward. But that deadline is June 1st. Around June is when you may want to consider how you are going to cover any gaps. So gaps between, and when I say gaps, I mean gaps between your financial aid and the cost of your student bill. One option is, or some of the options would be to apply for a Parent Plus loan, which is a federal loan for parents, or an alternative loan, which you may hear people talk about that come from either a bank or a credit union. Usually we recommend around mid-June is when you would want to apply, so that by the time the bills are sent out in early July, we'll have all that information set up. June is when you also might want to look into veterans benefits. If you are receiving any veterans benefits, feel free to call our office and we can talk to you and figure out kind of where you stand in the process and who you would need to talk to as a next step. If you are eligible for VMSDEP, this is the Virginia Military Students and Spouse and Dependents program for military. There are 2 tiers. Tier 1 is only a tuition waiver. Tier 2 is a tuition waiver plus a small stipend every semester for supplies. You would apply if you think you may be eligible. If you're a Virginia resident, you can apply on the Virginia website. And again, if you have questions, reach out to us. we'll get you all the information. Same goes with if you have veterans benefits, chapter 30, 31, 33, 35, 1606, yellow ribbon program. You can reach out to us. We'll get you set up with the right people and the right offices to talk to. All right, I want to go back because I think I missed something here. Someone was asking about special circumstances. I thought I had included that, but let's see. Okay, let's talk a little bit about special circumstances before we move forward. Okay, special circumstances. A lot of times, students and parents, the information on the FAFSA is not currently accurate. We've had a really big example this year with a lot of people local to our area losing jobs. So let's say you're using your tax information on the FAFSA. It's from 2 years ago. Since then, you've lost a job and then gotten a different job, but are making less income. Let's say maybe you lost child support. Your child aged out of child support. Maybe some sort of benefits have ended. We have something called a special circumstance request process where we will work with you and your family to accurately reflect those things on the FAFSA. Now, there are certain things we can include and can't include, but we will do our best to make sure that we are getting you whatever financial aid you might be eligible for. So a job loss, a death in the family, outrageously high medical expenses that aren't covered by insurance. There are all types of situations, and we work with students every day. We have had I always feel like we've seen every situation, and then a new one comes up. So please reach out to us so we can start that relationship with you. If it's something also that might be lasting multiple years, then you'll have a contact to reach out to. We do have a form to start that process. I'm not sure I believe it is, Stephanie, do you know if it's up on our website yet for next year?
It's not up on the website yet, but if you send us an email, I can go ahead and send you a PDF version just so you can familiarize yourself with what information we may request.
Yes. So we can do that. We will have it up on our website eventually. I would also say, I will reiterate again, if you fall into a situation as a student where you are homeless or at risk of being homeless, please reach out to us. We have resources to help you. If you are a student that is in a unique situation with parents or family, please reach out to us. We are happy to work with you directly. Keep in mind, when you get onto campus, we cannot talk to your parents anymore unless you give us permission. You are the student. We are helping you. So just keep that in mind as you're moving through this process. You are welcome to reach out to us directly. Like I said, we have some great financial aid advisors that would be happy to work with you. Okay, so closing out then, next steps we recommend, if you have not done so already, file the FAFSA or VASA application. Watch for financial aid award letters from us and any other institutions and look at those net costs. Don't just look at how many scholarships a school is giving you. You want to look at their net or their cost of attendance, and you want to look at how much those scholarships are and compare. Check with the institutions for additional scholarship or work opportunities. Something I did not touch on is we have a great student employment program at UMW. We have about 800 jobs on campus right now for students working part-time. We work around their schedules. So just another opportunity to have some pocket money while you're here at UMW. And it's just great experience to put on your resume. And please don't be afraid to reach out to financial aid office, your admissions representative, or any of our other offices. We are here to help. Okay, and another short plug here for our chat series. We are trying to update our chats based on what is going on at that time. Our next one will be on January 29th, and it will specifically be about understanding your financial aid award. So we will pull a financial aid letter. We'll talk through the different types of funds. We'll talk through, how to compare letters and all of that fun stuff. So we hope you can join us. Okay, and here is our information. I'm sorry, it is not formatted great. And we can go ahead and before we do any more questions from the chat, I just wanted to address a couple of the questions that people have sent prior to this chat. Okay, so how are students supported through transitioning to college life and how to obtain scholarships, financial aid, grants? Well, I would have to say, I think that is a team effort between the schools and the families. It's obviously, I have teenagers of my own, so I'm so there with you guys right now. It's hard to imagine my sons living on their own. But I would encourage you to encourage them to advocate for themselves, have them call the financial aid office, have them figure out their bill, and obviously assist, but also help them help themselves to be able to do that for the future. I really think student employment is a great opportunity. We've seen students come up through and work with us in our office all 4 years, and they come out so much more mature. They know about customer service. They know about taxes, how to pay your bill. And there's lots of opportunities like that on campus. Let's see. Yes, the Taking Flight Award has been discontinued. But there, like I said, with the foundation scholarships, I would encourage you to apply for those. And we really do in our initial packaging try to cover as much as we can. So there will be other opportunities to come. Okay, cost of semester. I meant to show this. This is on our website. I was talking about cost of attendance. And let's see if I can make this work. I don't even know. Can you all see where I am here? No.
Yes, we can.
Oh, you can? You can see the cost of attendance? Okay.
Yep, we can see the cost of attendance site. You're good.
Okay, perfect. This is our website. We have when I was talking about cost of attendance, which is the estimated cost, you can see it broken down here by year. So I'm assuming most of you are going to be undergraduate, 26, 27. You can see it is broken down by on campus, living with parents, and off campus. And you can see it's broken down by your billable costs here, tuition, fees, room, and board. And like I was saying, those costs that we don't charge for, but that you may want to consider when you're budgeting. So this is where you can see it. Once the official tuition numbers are available, they will be posted through our Office of Student Accounts, again, which is our billing office. But I would definitely recommend using this to estimate. Okay.
I got a question. Is that total for all 4 years or 1 year?
No, that's for 1 year.
Okay.
So if you're living on campus, these are the averages for tuition, fees, room, and board for a year. Now, it might change if you, let's say, are taking a different meal plan 1 year or living in different housing. Those costs can change, but these are just estimates again. So it's just something to consider. Now, when you look at this, you could say, okay, my bill might be around $31,000. I know I'm getting $7,000 in grants. I'm getting $3,000 in a Pell Grant. That's where you can kind of start to build out your costs and your financial aid and that gap, like what you might have to cover that's not covered by financial aid. And those are, we call those cost conversations, and we're happy to have those with you. If you need it, we can schedule appointments.
Tessa, we have a good question in the chat that I'd love to ask. It
Okay.
says, after the FAFSA has been processed, how do I make changes in reported assets? And if the asset, such as a rental property, is not paid off, how do I report that?
Oh, that's like a quiz question. Okay.
I know. It's
Okay.
a tough one, which is why I
So-
needed some help.
If you're talking, okay, this is a rental property. If it is not paid off, you would put, I may have to get back to you on this, but I believe it is the value of the property subtracted by the remaining mortgage. I believe that's how you calculate it, and you would put that in the assets. So I will definitely could do some research and get back to you on that. But just off the top of my head, I believe that is how we have processed those. That it was the value of the property subtract whatever the balance is of the mortgage.
I'm also going to follow up that question with providing the financial aid email so he can send that directly your way.
Yes, that would be
Yep.
fantastic. Okay. Stephanie, what else do we have in the chat?
There are a couple questions about stacking scholarships and considering outside scholarships and just generally how scholarships work with our current awards.
Sure. So we do not stack. I guess technically stack is such an odd term. I will tell you how we do it at UMW. You will receive your financial aid award. Your award would not be adjusted based on any outside private scholarships unless you reach that maximum amount of aid that you're allowed to get for that year. So until you go up to that, let's say you get $1,000 scholarship from your high school. We're going to literally stack that on top of your financial aid until you get to this amount, your total budget. And then that's when we may have to say, hey, we've received all these scholarships. Congratulations. We may need to reduce one of your need-based loans. We always start with the loans. Honestly, this doesn't happen all that often. And if it does, we'll work with you to try to find the best solution. But we do not directly replace an outside scholarship with what we've already given you.
And Tessa, just to clarify for people, your budget amount is your cost of attendance, correct?
I'm sorry. Yes. Cost of attendance and budget are interchangeable. So yes, this maximum cost of attendance, it's also your maximum amount of financial aid for the year.
Yeah. So if you end up saying that you get great scholarships from us, but then you get $30,000 of outside scholarships too, that's when adjustments will end up needing to happen.
Yes, and we would always adjust first any loan offers, and then we would move to other types of aid. But again, it's really unfortunately, it's not really that common. But we will work with you. Probably the best thing you can do in these situations is as soon as you know that you are getting an outside scholarship, send us just a copy. Usually they'll give you like a letter or something from the organization that says this is what you're getting. Send us a copy of that so we can make sure that no adjustments would need to be made.
Tessa, we have a couple of questions about auxiliary fees. Can you explain what auxiliary fees are?
Let me find my cheat sheet. Hold on one second.
I thought you might have it more readily. I'm looking for the link for it right now.
Yes.
To share with people. Here's I found it already.
Oh,
so
good
this
job.
is the current breakdown. I'm putting it in the chat for everyone of the auxiliary fees breakdown. So yes, all of these fees are required, even if you are not utilizing those services, but it is something that everyone incurs.
It's explained a lot of times as your tuition and fees is a breakdown of tuition.
Yes.
It's just broken into different categories. Okay.
I had a question. I had two questions. If a student has,
It's okay. We can still hear you.
Sorry.
It's okay. We've all got pets and kids. I get it.
Yeah. If a student has already been admitted to UMW and offered scholarships but hasn't committed yet, will those scholarships stay even if a student commits, say, in like April, like if they wait a little bit longer, or will those be revoked if you wait?
No, they would be, you have until, you have May 1st is usually the decision date. And it's a financial aid. Like if a scholarship is offered, they're not going to take it away for not immediately making that decision. No.
Okay. And then also, I've heard at some schools that student work opportunities are need-based. Is it like that at UMW, or anyone can work regardless of
That is
financial
a great question. A really great question. In fact, you should maybe consider working for the financial aid office because you even thought of that. So we have a mix. We have a mix of federal funded federal college work study and institutionally funded work study. So honestly, only about 50 jobs on campus are funded by federal college work study. Those are need based. The rest of the jobs are just anybody can apply for them and get them. And to be perfectly honest with you, most students on federal college work study don't even know they're on federal college work study. It's all about how it's coded in the back end. You will see it on your financial aid award if you're eligible. But if you do not see it on your financial aid award, it just means you're not eligible for the federally funded portion. You can still apply for jobs. And like I said, the majority of them are not need based.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I should also say you will see federal work study if you are one of those recipients on your award letter. That doesn't mean that amount is going to come off of your bill. That means that if you should apply for a job and receive a job, it will be funded by federal work study and you will receive an actual paycheck, just like anyone else that's employed by the state of Virginia. All right. Does anyone else in the crowd have any questions? All right, Stephanie, what else do we got?
Honestly, in terms of general questions, I think we hit most of them. But if I overlooked one of your questions, please feel free to re-type it in the chat.
Oh, did you find out the answer about the SSN that we talked about prior?
Yes.
Okay. So someone up front had sent in the question. I am an American citizen, but my parents are not, so they cannot sign the FAFSA signature because they don't have a social security number. What steps must I take in order to send my FAFSA documentations? Do I need to send printed documents? So we were doing
Okay.
some research on this.
Yes, so it's kind of a two sections for this because there's one section if you started the application already versus if you haven't. But the main thing is the information from your contributor will need to be manually entered. So I will be putting the link in the chat. And Tessa, I sent it to you.
Okay, thank you. And if anybody has we don't know who asked these questions, so if anybody needs more information, send us an email and we'll get you that information.
Yeah, and we're getting questions about notifications for award letters and things like that. If you want to talk about when we're sending those out.
We are hopefully going to start sending them within the next week or two. I will be very general very soon. And if you have filled out a FAFSA, you'll be, and we have received it at this point, you will be in that group. And then we will continue to send out award letters all through the spring. Anytime you make an adjustment to your FAFSA or you receive some other type, say you get a scholarship later in the year from us, you would receive a new notification. But it's always going to be available to view in your admissions portal. And then as you start, once you're on campus, you can transition over to your, it's called Banner. It's our student information system, but that's where you would be able to go at any point and see your financial aid.
Okay, and then there's questions about what FAFSA to complete, if you're whether to do the 25, 26 or 26, 27.
Okay, 25-26 is for this year that we're in right now. So fall, spring, summer. So if you are coming in the fall of 2026, you'll want to do 26-27. If you are planning on coming in either the spring semester this year, like so after the holidays, or the summer semester, you would need to do the 2025-26 FAFSA. It always goes by academic year. So for fall 2026, you will want to do 26-27. Does anyone have any other questions?
And feel free to raise your hand and we can go ahead and call you since the chat is moving quickly.
Hi, I think I just put this in the chat, but just wanted to confirm if there was anything additional we needed to do if we're coming from out of state, other than just the FAFSA that we've been discussing.
Not really. There aren't any, I mean, unless your state has a specific state aid program for students going out of state, that's not really typical. I would say just complete your FAFSA, and the scholarship application. And then no, I don't think I would check on your state higher education website, but likely that's all you'll need to do.
Okay, and when you say scholarship information, you mean the thing that you mentioned that would be
Yes.
open starting in February?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Because there
thank
are
you.
quite a few out of state scholarships through that application.
Okay, and do those have to be applied for individually, or is it more of just like a blanket application?
It is one application. It's a smart app. So depending on the answers that you give, it will put you in the running for a different scholarship, all of the different scholarships.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Amaya?
Hi, I wanted to know if you're still waiting on a decision from Mary Washington. When can you kind of expect that to see anything? Because I haven't heard anything back yet. Sarah?
So we expect that all of our early action students will receive an admissions decision no later than January 31st. We are trying to move through them as quickly as we can. Hopefully, we'll get them all out by mid-January. If you email admit@umw.edu, you can ask for a check on your application status. Have you logged into your admissions portal at all?
Yeah, a few times actually. I'm really persistent, but it's okay.
Okay, so it says that your application's complete and under review right now?
Yes.
Okay, so we are working on reviewing as many of those applications as we can prior to going on winter break, but it should be no later than like mid-January.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay. Let's see. Do we have any other hands up? All right. All right. Well, I guess if anyone has any other questions, feel free to call or email our office. We will be closed for the holiday break from the 22nd to anybody know the date? 6th? 2nd?
We reopen on the 5th.
The 5th. Okay. We'll reopen on the 5th. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. And we are happy to help again with any of those unique situations, or just any other questions that you have. And thank you for coming tonight.
And as a
Thank you
reminder,
so
we did
much.
record this evening, so we will send out the recording via email, and we will also upload it to the admissions YouTube channel so that you can go back and refer to it as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good